I've got, there was an option for a smart recording, but I'm guessing I haven't installed whatever I need to install, so I won't go with that. But and then I'm going to share.
You blocked off all my people.
It's because I'm getting ready to share, but hang on a second because it's not giving me the option. Guess this is the one I want to share. Hopefully I can go to. Is that my slideshow? Can you see that now? Okay. It's not fancy at all. But yeah, I think
I'm in a Zoom meeting.
oh, Sylvia.
What?
Busy. Okay. Let's do introductions, and then as people come in, we'll just have them add. So I don't know if you guys are prepared with the answers to these questions, and really it's just you, Jeffrey and Crystal, and then Teresa. And if Teresa can't answer, Mel, I'm sure, still has the information for Forest Pond. But yeah, just tell us who you are, your position, your board, your neighborhood, the number of homes, maybe the current management company, and anything that you want to tell us about your neighborhood. And I'll start with Crystal.
Right. Hi, I am Crystal Brooks, the president of Greenleaf Village Homeowners Association. We have 164 homes in the community. Our current property management, current management company is Community
Association Management.
Community Association Management. It's so many CAMs.
Yes.
Yeah, so Community Association Management.
Okay, awesome. Jeffrey.
Hello, can everyone hear me right?
Yes.
Outstanding. Yeah, I'm Jeffrey Simpson. I'm the president of the Farmington Owners Association. Basically, we're off of Hubbard Road. We're right between Sugar Creek and Mallard Creek. We have a home capacity, but not capacity, but we have homes of 275 in the community. Our management company is Cedar Management. They call them CMG. And what else would there be? That's about it for now.
That's it. Awesome. And Teresa Braswell. I know you're driving, so I'm not sure.
Hello.
Hey.
Okay, I was muted.
Okay, yeah.
All right, let me go back here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wanted to know my position?
President Forest Pond, right? And yeah, just a little more number of homes in the community and who your management company is.
Yes, so I'm the president of the board. My community is Forest Pond. The number of homes is 284. And we just hired a new management company, Superior Association Management, effective December 1st.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And yeah, I was hoping that we'd have a few more people on here, but we'll ask them to introduce when they come in. I'll just go through what I put on the agenda, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I think probably a lot of you guys either come to the Derita Matters meeting and follow along, or you've seen the slides before, but specifically for HOAs, I hope to put the neighborhoods on a Google map, because as you can see, the Google map itself is pretty sparse with neighborhood names. So Greenleaf is here somewhere, and Amarillo Park does not have an HOA, but they're on the map. Forest Pond is over here, but they're not on the map. Farmington is this over here off of Hubbard Road. And then anyone else within this map area. So this is Harris Boulevard up here at the top, and then 85 along the bottom, and then 77 on the left side as I'm looking at it. Really any of the neighborhoods that are in there. We've got contacts for a lot of the neighborhoods along Gibbon Road, here on this side of Gibbon Road. Somebody from Oak Brook was going to join us. I sent her the link today. Oak Brook is over here off of Old Statesville. Kelsey Glen, Jack is should be here. I don't think they have an HOA, but Kelsey Glen over here. Harrington Woods, Brookstone, they all have HOAs. They don't necessarily see themselves as being part of Derita, but they're inside this area, you know, these big barriers that we've defined, the 85 and Harris Boulevard and 77. So if you have any connections with any of the HOA neighborhoods, we have Fairstone that has an HOA that's over here somewhere. And then some of these along Neil Road over here have HOAs as well, although they probably, a lot of this area probably considers themselves part of University City, which is fair enough. You know, the University City municipal special district includes all of this, where IBM is and Wells Fargo, CIC, etc. So this whole section here, which includes parts of Forest Pond, is, you know, they probably think of themselves as University City, so they may not respond to anything about Derita. But for those of us that are here, we're all pretty close to Derita and wouldn't necessarily claim any other area. I'll put links in, and just make sure that you're on the neighborhood organization contact list. So this is links to all the neighborhood resources, but the neighborhood organization contact list is a list that the city actually maintains, and hopefully you can see my screen changing. And you can look at this list. I haven't done it in a while, so let me just see. Seems like they want a link to a link to a link to a link. Somewhere you can see the map. Okay, it's just taking a minute to load. There's quite a few more contacts within the Derita area here. So all these blue pins represent neighborhood people that are on the neighborhood contact list. So I'll just pick on one. Can't exactly see, can't see Hubbard Road on there, but let's just see who this is. Okay, that's Rockwell Park Neighborhood Association. So she's on our list. I don't think they have an HOA either in Rockwell Park, but But yeah, just make sure that you're on this list. Once you're here on the city's site, you should find a place to add to register here in the FAQs. Who can register with the neighborhood organization contact list, and generally you can go in here somewhere to add your contact information as the contact for your neighborhood, which I would think it's appropriate for say the HOA president or whoever you designate in on your board to be the main contact for the city, so that you would get any communications that would go, mostly it would be rezoning notices that are within a mile probably of your neighborhood. I'm not sure what else they disseminate via that list, but there could be other communications from the city, or from anybody. I mean, it's a public list, so if anybody wanted to talk, send information or communicate to neighborhood leaders, this is one place to get a lot of contact information. And I haven't looked at it in a while, but you can download the list in an Excel file or a spreadsheet of some kind, or however you want to use that list. But make sure that you're on it so that you're getting whatever communications from the city and the county and any developers that may be doing rezonings in the area, would include you on the list to receive those notices. Is that somebody? I'm trying to get back to my slides. And there's, I hope I put the link here, but there's a lot of assistance from the city specifically for people, for neighborhoods with an HOA. Here's another couple of resources if you need speakers from the city to any of your meetings from any department, planning, water, stormwater, code enforcement, or whatever. On this slide, this graphic here is a link to that to request it online. And then here's the information from the city. Nichelle Wilson is actually the contact for specifically for HOA training and building HOA capacity and that kind of thing. So the city has a department specifically to help neighbors who have an HOA to make the best of the HOA. And maybe Jeffrey can speak to your experience in Farmington, just over the last 5 years or so, or whenever it was that you really had to kind of reconnect the neighbors with the HOA and the management and, all of that.
Now, Teresa, it's dangerous to give me an audience and a microphone. But
in meetings they say never let go of the microphone, but of course in Zoom it's a little hard to hold on.
As you go through this, okay, let me just cut to the chase. Right now I'm involved in, been selected to or elected to, whatever it is, but I'm in an academy. It's called the Civic Leadership Academy, and it's about 10 to 14 weeks. It allows you to put a feather in your cap with regards to when you want to become part of other organizations within the city. Let me just say this. that is a powerful class. It allows you to really deep dive into a lot of things that's going on within the city of Charlotte. One of the things I think I brought it to your attention, but as I sift through this and be able to bring it to you, all of you, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. Case in point, one of the things that you just mentioned to me, is with regard to some of the resources. One of the resources that I just went through last night, they do a lot of presentations, all these different organizations within the city, because basically what they want to do as you graduate from this academy, of course, they want you to join their organization or whatever they're doing. One of them is the Office of Workforce Development. What a powerful organization. Now, I'll bring that to you folks once I be able to separate it and bring it to your attention, or have a speaker, often have a speaker come and present to us. What is that? Basically, one of the things that happens is that everybody's not going to go to college. Okay, that's a fact. So what happens at this organization, what they have is all these different courses, all these different helplines with regards to people, that want other trades like plumbers, electricians, jet mechanics. Matter of fact, yesterday we had a tour of the Charlotte airport where we were actually on the tarmac to see how things are run within Charlotte, from the engineers to the planes to whatever case might be. There was other things, so I don't want to ramble on, but it's very powerful. And as I learned how to sift through this thing and present it to our group, it's also going to be very important to disseminate this information to HOA leaders. Case in point, there was another one that I think I shared with you, Teresa, with regards to I think, yeah, they have grants or what have you for people that want to put solar panels on their home. I've never heard of that program. Matter of fact, as soon as I find out more about it, I think I'm gonna be one of the first ones to join it in my HOA. So there's a lot of things that just goes on. As I said, this class, if you want to call it a class, it is a class, academy, just brings out a lot of information, a lot of sources that we just don't know about. And as I find out about it, which I am finding out about it, I'll bring it to you so that you can bring it to people that do attend our meetings. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that little tidbit in there. Other than that, Teresa, I guess with regards to being president of the board, I guess I'm just a glutton for pain, because there's a lot of things that we as board members go through, especially if you're in the position of president. And when I first got on the board, there was a reason for it, and still is. It's because we couldn't get, at that time, we couldn't get anything done. Maybe you addressed this, I don't know. But when I came back to the meeting, I kind of shared with them the three key things of why the board couldn't get anything done. Watch, here it comes. They don't like you, they don't trust you, and they don't know you. And because of those things, it's hard for boards to get anything done until they be able to transition through that and begin to dissipate the us versus them type of mentality. So I'm hopeful as you go along, as this the SRCO goes on, it allows people to be able to share the information so they can take that wall down, so that HOAs can do things that people can now trust and basically know who their board members are. I don't know if that makes any sense. I kind of rambled through, kind of went through it quickly, but those are things that I face or have faced, being a board president, whether it's collecting dues or remember that time getting rid of squatters, all kind of different things, dealing with HOA management companies. Truthfully speaking, in my opinion, they're all the same, really. It's all the same, which I'm sure people will find out. It's just that the HOA board has to understand what they want when they do address these management companies, so that all the power is not given to a management company versus the board. I think I'll stop at this point. You didn't ask me all that, but I thought I'd just put that in there.
No, I think that's very, very helpful. And
Teresa, may I say something?
yeah,
You were talking about getting rid of the squatters. There has been, for all of you that have that problem, there has been a change in the way that's handled. The if it's out on State Road, the Charlotte police has been given the chore of taking care of it. You don't no longer have to have a highway patrolman. So they have changed the districts for police here. We've got a problem right now on the city side of the Graham Street and 85. I thought that was North Division when I went through our North Division. Come to find it out, they stopped at the bridge. That is another division. But one of the detectives up there, which I've known for years, has made the call to get that area to take care of it. So if you have a squatter, just go to your regular one, but just got to be the police, not the state patrol.
Okay, I think Jeffrey, you were talking about squatters that have actually moved into a house without permission from the owner, or without a lease or whatever.
Yeah, what happens, Teresa, is this, and Sylvia, I appreciate that too. I had to present. It was a learning experience. I had to present that to my board. It'll tick you off because they have what's called squatters' rights. I'm sure you're familiar with that, Teresa. They have squatters' rights. So you just can't go over there to the house and turn off the electricity or all these different things. They have squatters' rights, believe it or not. So there's a process, in order to get them out. Now, what's happening is because this thing is now running kind of rampant, not only here in Charlotte, but especially California, things like that. That they're passing a bill. And I don't know if it's passed here. I haven't followed it lately. Passed here or not, whereby the time frame of executing things is I think supposed to get down to like 45 days. Otherwise, what happens is that you actually have to get an eviction notice. So I dealing with the police and things that sort. One thing they can do is ride up, take a look at it, make sure there's no make sure they're not violent and things of that sort. But it's really a pain in the rear end because usually they're gonna wreck the place. And that's what they did. I think there was when the contractors came out there. I'm skipping gears here. The contractor came out there to remodel the place. I think they had to spend something like $65,000 to get back in shape, from the appliances to whatever case might be. Matter of fact, the squatter that we were dealing with, he was out there swinging a machete trying to cut down the tree. Crazy stuff. So not only are you dealing with that situation, but sometimes you're dealing with mental situations as well. So it takes a lot. It definitely has a lot of wear and tear of the neighbors nearby. But I have it. I think I'll send it to you. I think I still have it, Sylvia and Teresa. The PDF that I saved which is called Squatters' Rights. And I don't know about you, but definitely ticked me off with regards to all the rights that they do have. Yeah.
I have to mention something. I have to mention that one time I experienced squatters, and it turned out that they were victims of fraudulent activity. The house was vacant, and they thought they were renting from the owner. Turns out it wasn't the owner.
Mm-hmm.
We had a situation like that in Allen Hills as well. Crystal, have you got anything in particular you wanted to pick people's brains about or discuss?
Yeah, so really I'm just here to get information. Very new to the board. Well, I sat on the board in the past, but actually new to the president's seat on my board. I've been in place since June. And I do like what Jeffrey said, like the three things that the board is up against, especially the president, where you can't get things done. So really, I was just here to kind of hear from, those leaders who have experience with turning things around amongst the board and the community so they can get things done. That's where I am now, just trying to figure out everything I can do where we can move forward and get, our initiatives that we want to do off the ground.
Mm. Yeah, and the city and this, you know, I always thought it might be easier with an HOA, but maybe not, or maybe it just doesn't matter. But the city's
Mm.
neighborhood and business services liaison told me one time that you've got to try to get neighbors together, like and it's very easy to get people together when they're mad about something, which, you know, that's how Derita Statesville Road has grown and gotten, you know, more impetus, is when people were mad about the road construction and various other things through the years. But a better way, and you have this idea already, is parties, you know, trying to get the neighbors together around some kind of very simple celebration, whether it's an ice cream social or just, and I know it's not that easy when you don't actually have a clubhouse or, you know, a space in the neighborhood to do that kind of thing. But it starts very small. But yeah, most of my experience is more around neighborhoods that have no governing body at all. Like Nadine Henry, I wish she was here to share some of her experiences in Sugar Springs, because they have no HOA. They may have had an HOA at some point, but it's been defunct for a very long time. And so now they have formed a neighborhood organization and just started with very small neighborhood events and, you know, just build it up over years. It's not something that is very easy to accomplish, especially, you know, when you're talking about, well, you have 164 homes. It's smaller than some of these other neighborhoods.
Yeah, it takes a little bit to build up, Teresa, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And Crystal, what happens is, it's not that I'm the know-it-all. I'm not. There's people that have more experience than me, but you know, in order to I don't know, in order to get that image away from residents who have usually a negative image of the HOAs. Case in point, I hope I'm not skipping around too much. At our location, we had a fall festival last year, and it really turned out well because I knew just by taking a pulse, in other words, that my sense of what's going on, that the community was ready. They were ready to do something, get together, make it happen. In addition to that, another thing that I did with regards to my HOA, which they hadn't did in 31 years, I fired the management company because their perception, their operation was not on the same page or direction that we wanted to go. You know, it got to a point where they were just running rapid. They were taking the CCRs and as if every CCR is the same, and it's not. And just and making violations. Like case in point, let me slow down just a little bit. We have 275 homes. One time they came out with 135 violations. And I said, how in the world? I couldn't believe that number. And I said, how do you come up with this number? Well, da 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 da. So I said, okay, take me for a ride. Show me what you saw that was a violation. And sure enough, when I did that, you know, they weren't all violations. They were opinions. So you have to be careful of them as well as your own board as to what is really regulation and what is opinion. You know, whether it's how high the grass is growing to, you know, can you put air conditioners in the side of the house, all that kind of good stuff. You know, and you know, truthfully speaking, they came back. The management company came back to me and, well, this is the way we've been doing it for X amount of years. And I wasn't trying to be curt, but you know, the thing is, I had to say to them, I said, undoubtedly you forgot who pays who. You know, and with that attitude, you know, I said, well, you know, maybe we need to part ways. And that's exactly what I did. And a lot of boards are afraid to separate themselves from the management company. But when you do that, your board must know what it is that they need in order to go forward. Otherwise, you're just scattered and they'll make all this kind of wish list stuff and say, we can do this, we can do that. And as I said, usually it's kind of the same across the board, no matter which one you go. Just the fact that some charge more than others. But with regards to your board, you know, you have to be careful of that. I'm just speaking as, I think, you're president. So because, you know, you are the head, and basically there's an old saying that, you know, a fish thinks by its head. So if you're not doing right, the board is not going to do it. It's not going to be doing right. So as long as there's not a us versus them type of mentality, you know, I think you can move forward in a positive direction. Am I getting too wordy, Teresa?
No, I think it's all good. I had a point of clarity on that. So if the HOA cites people, if the management company, cites neighbors and they impose fines, do those fines go to the management company? Is it like a revenue stream for them, or is it to the HOA, or they share in that?
For some it is. That's going to change.
Yeah.
I have this paper in front of me somewhere. There's a
Yeah.
new bill out that's called 525. And these management companies are fearful, oh my God, because now things are going to change. And what a couple of things going to change is where that money goes. It's not going to the HOAs anymore. And basically, I think it's a minimum of like $2,500 before you can execute some serious things like foreclosures and all kind of.
Foreclosures, yeah.
So they're fearful of this 525 that's still up for grabs as to whether they're gonna pass it or not. But yeah, some of those companies get a cut from the amount that they collect. So that's what I'm saying. You got to keep an eye on what's going on. And also in that 525, they just can't have a contract that just rolls over. No, you know, each year it has to be renewed, you know, with a vote of the board. And also it's designed to be a watchdog over the boards, you know, with regards to what they're doing. So it's gonna be interesting what happens with this. Go with that.
Yeah, that's very much needed. I think that legislation to rein in some HOAs and management companies, because it should be by the people for the people. You know, that's exactly at your little neighborhood level. It shouldn't be that hard to be very connected with the, you know, the whole system, and decide very democratically how things should be run, and what you want to police and what you don't want to, you know, and how you do that. And the management company should be taking orders from the board, right?
That's correct. That's, you know, one of the things I
Other way
do.
around.
Yeah, one of the things I do with my board is it's not I'm you know, rigid, but you know, in order to be effective, you know, just like we were able to at least able to tell each other how many homes do you have in the neighborhood. In order to be part of my board, you know, well, to stay active on the board, you know, you need to know. It's a little quiz I give them. You know, how many homes in the area? It's 275. How many streets in our area? Okay, 13. How many cul-de-sacs? Da 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 da. How many renters? You know, how many are rentals? You know, that's kind of a guess. But you need to understand that in order to be able to effectively govern, you know, govern and execute, you know, the CCRs of your community. You know, without knowing these things, you know, case in point, the people on this call, you know, how can you possibly represent your association if you don't know some of these factors? How can the board do anything effectively and not know some of these factors? One thing they do is posturing. I'm the president. I'm this. Well, that only means squat. So, anyways, okay. Anyways, you can see I'm pretty passionate about some of this stuff, but you know, it's real. It's just like, you know, that time that we took the tour of Derita. Remember that, Teresa?
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. How can you talk about things if you don't know where Hidden Valley is, or I'm just picking something out, or the Ribbon Park, or some of these other parks that in the area. How can we talk about these things if you don't know where they are?
Mm-hmm.
Let me stop, man, because you know I told you don't give me a mic in the audience.
No, that's very helpful. And as far as number of rentals go, that's something that I can help you figure out. Although even your management company should be able to figure that out. They should know, I would think. But I can also do a rough, you know, survey of the owners. And it is very rough because, you know, people don't have a mailing address for their tax bill that's not the property, or it's not obviously owned by an LLC. You may not identify it as a rental. But But yeah, I did the numbers for Forest Pond at one point, and Forest Pond had about 27% rentals at that time. This was a few years ago. I haven't updated that number in my head, but that's a significant number.
My understanding is that's been a high priority for a lot of HOAs, especially as of late. And yes, Forest Pond, they're suffering the consequences of no cap on rentals in the bylaws. And getting that changed sometimes is a significant legal obstacle.
Well, it is, especially if, you know, you start to get a majority of rentals, and
That's
then
right.
you won't have the votes to change your bylaws.
And a real important thing to understand is that, you know, it's a HOA, not a H rental association.
Right, right. Yeah, and
of
you
our
know, those
association.
landlords, of course, are owners, but they're not going to vote to limit rentals.
That's right.
Yeah, you
Well,
got that right.
they may, you never know, you know, because, you know, if you can control the competition, you can keep your rents high too, but that's a
Yeah.
different conversation. It's generally not, you know, more than 25% rentals becomes a bit of an unstable situation unless you really have a strong neighborhood that can kind of integrate the renters, you know, and it becomes more of a stable situation. But most renters are not, they're not invested in the neighborhood,
You got that,
not
yeah.
planning to stay there more than a year. So, you know, they don't get very invested.
And getting a buy-in, I have to mention this, getting a buy-in from all the members in your community. Sometimes that is really a difficult challenge because there can be a percentage of the community that just is diehard about thinking of a HOA as the enemy. And there, unfortunately, there's sometimes a significant number that are all about me, and have no feeling about what's best for the community. And that's what the HOA really strives to do. And I have to mention before I stop talking, Jeffrey, I think you speak with a lot of wisdom, I can tell. I spent 18 years in a row as an HOA president, so you know I have a lot of knowledge, and I see some of that in you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Of our association now, we have, and Teresa, all of you really, of the 275, there's 87 rentals. Now watch this.
Whoa, whoa.
Now watch this. I
You're-
tried to pass, remember Mel, you talking about voting? You need 66 and 2/3 votes. That's 185, 184. So watch this. Sent out a new vote on this thing, I don't know, last year, whatever it was. And remember, 275 homes. Watch, here it comes. You got less than 50 votes back.
Mm.
Okay, and what that vote was for was to slow down, pump the brakes on rentals. Basically, you had to live in the house for I think it was like a year before you can actually rent it out. And the people just were so complacent that it was just lackluster with regards to the return. You know, and that's the part that's kind of disheartening. You know, what do you do? And as you said, Mel, what happens is that until it affects them directly, you know, there's no movement. And sometimes with my people, when I say my people, my association, I don't know, it's people that live here, sometimes they come and ring the doorbell. That's good. I want to encourage that. But, you know, until you know, unless it affects them, a lot of times there's just no movement. And a lot of times, folks, I told them, and I don't mean to be sarcastic with them, but I try to set the tone in that what I say to them, without being mean, is that, look, I'm not the police and I'm not Dr. Phil. So sometimes these things that are coming up for you and with you, you need to try to address with your neighbor yourself. And that's where you get to, you know.
So are these rentals individuals or corporations or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both, Mel. A little bit of both. And now what's happening? I'm because remember the prices got so high, the corporation will outbid, you know, a private person. But yes,
Here's the problem that I encounter, and I'm sure you have too, is we'd make a concerted effort to meet with representatives of corporations to encourage them to hold their tenants to the fire, so to speak, and abide by our covenants and restrictions. And unfortunately, what seemed to be happening is as soon as we would get a relationship with a representative of corporate, then that position would have turnover. Significant turnover. We never could nail down someone that genuinely represented the corporation to, you know, to make that effective.
Yeah, that's
So yeah, there's challenges with being involved in an HOA, that's for certain.
You know, yeah, and there was something else I was going to share with regards to that renters. Oh yeah, we had a lawyer actually attend our meeting. Yeah, actually it's our lawyer, and also showing the negative effects. And I think Teresa, being a realtor, if you know this, with there having too many renters, how it affects future loans. You know, not just, you know, not just the look of the community, but also it affects how banks look at, you know, future buyers. People don't understand, that's okay. No, it's not. You know, and I think it's unfortunate that renters have such a negative reputation. But the thing is that the facts kind of just shows that it is what it is, because there's no accountability or responsibility on the renters, that sometimes they just don't take care of the properties. Anyway.
yeah. Yeah, and in single family, it's not as much of an issue with loans, but if you're in a townhome community or you know, condos, if you have more than 25% rentals, or even if one particular investor owns more than a certain percentage of units, you cannot get FHA financing, you cannot get VA financing to purchase those. So those financing companies, those mortgage companies know that there's a higher risk once you cross that more than 25% rentals. So even though it doesn't really affect the lending in a single family neighborhood,
Well,
it's
there's a
factor.
definition that's a challenge. Define single family.
Well, yeah, exactly. But yes, in my conversation, it's one house per lot. It's not how many families might be living in
Yeah.
that house. But and that, you know, we complain about that, but that's a symptom of our housing shortage.
Oh yeah.
Is that people are doubling up, and you know, and that's a lot of what we're seeing, I think, with the rentals too, is that it's not just a family with kids in school, etc. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's a few people, young people, maybe young single people, that are joining together to rent a house because the rent is $2,400 a month, and not one person can afford that by themselves. So especially a young person just in their first job or whatever, so they're sharing, and you know, they're going to be even less responsible because, you know, they're still young, they're still learning about stuff.
Not only that, Teresa, watch it. Yeah. With that being, the HOA is going to love this, is that when you have those multiple people in there, here, watch the domino. It also means you're going to have multiple cars.
Cars, I knew you were gonna say
See?
cars. Yeah,
So now it spills over, you know. So you're right with that adage, you know, with
yeah,
regards to how all this is affected. And sometimes, you know, another thing I'm trying to get on now on affordable housing, you know, I don't want to get into all that. Never mind. I speak too much, but you know, it's a catch-all. It's a catch-22 almost, where people believe in affordable housing, but yet when you want to put it in that community, they say, oh no, not here, you know, or
Yeah.
Or
And
you-
everywhere in Charlotte, they're saying not here.
yes,
That's what I see on the planning commission.
exactly.
Week after week, there are neighborhoods from all over Charlotte saying, no, yes, we want affordable housing. We believe in it. We know there's a problem, but this is not the right place for it.
Yeah.
We're close to my house.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, I think I've got 7 o'clock. I hope this was helpful, and maybe we'll try one of those polls and see if a better time, if we should do these more regularly, or if you just want to talk amongst yourselves. I hope, and I can connect you. I think maybe I have connected you via email, Crystal, with Jeffrey and Mel. I don't know about it with Mel, but just so that you can pick each other's brains. I know it's a lot to figure out, and then also to lean on the city, figure out what the resources are that the city has, and that Nichelle, was it Robinson? No, Wilson. Grab her contact information, and I'll send out these slides to everybody. But reach out to her, because there's special tools, and also these engagement, just click on a few of these links. I wasn't able to dig into them before now, but check out those resources as well, because there's definitely grants, and I think Greenleaf has been successful in getting a grant from the city for something, right? Oh, you guys got it, but then couldn't meet the volunteer hours to actually match the grant. Yeah, I know.
Oh, you're talking about the neighborhood matching grant?
Criticism that I have really with the city is that they kind of make it so hard for neighborhoods that really just don't have the bandwidth. And I wish there was just maybe even a reduced grant that you could apply for and get on the merits, and not have to try to meet that high bar of all the volunteer hours. And
Teresa, you talking about the neighborhood matching grant?
yes.
Well, I'm on that board. I don't recall receiving anything from Greenleaf.
Yeah, when I had looked, I was told that we had it, and the reason that we didn't get any funds is because we didn't put those man hours in.
Mhm.
I actually reached out to
Claire?
I forgot who it was. No, it was they just had like a webinar maybe back in
What?
June or July, just to go over the details of that neighborhood matching grant. And on that call, I just asked them, like, hey, I know we had got it last year, and they confirmed we did not.
Well, Jackie Claire basically heads that up.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm trying to deal with that too with them. It's not that I can make a bunch of changes, but I do put my input in there with regards to, I guess some people call it jumping through hoops, but because it's a government thing, sometimes they have to dot the i's and cross the t's before they hand out that kind of money, because it's usually it's between 10 up to 10 and $25,000. So
Yeah.
they only have so many dollars,
I
but once you do it.
understand. Yeah, I understand why they have the process, but it really is still very hard. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem so equitable, when you got
Yeah.
neighborhoods that really need the funds and don't have the bandwidth to, do all that.
Yeah, and I think that's what they should do, Teresa. That's what I'm trying to push, is to have someone, not me, but have someone to be able to handhold someone through the administrative process of how to get that done. Because really, it could be a pain in the rear end, and some people say, it's just not worth it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
what I see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, it just comes down to, it's human nature. It's always going to be like 10 to 20% of the people doing all the work.
Mm.
And it's hard to get more people involved. People, it's just human nature, and where people are in their lives, and whatever resources they can lay their hands on. So
But as I mentioned, Teresa, you know, I'm in this academy. That's not the pat jump on the back. I'm just a glutton for pain. But there's a lot of resources. I kid you not. And this academy that I'm in, it really, maybe even Mel's familiar with that, Sylvia too, that that allows you to deep dive, because all these resources you're talking about comes before this academy to present themselves. And
Yeah.
it kind of shows you how this money is spent. Some of it tick you off, from schools to zoning, to all that kind of stuff.
Right.
The airport I just told you about next week is we're going to be visiting with the police. But there's a lot of resources that as HOA presidents or HOA people that we need to understand. So now we become a value added service to the community. Okay, to present these sources, whether it's how to clean up something or sources for our kids as far as getting them grants, even for people our age or older that are the resources out there to help us with and guide us with the guys to some of the things that we need to do. All right, I'll shut up. But anyway,
Yeah.
there's a lot
Well,
of stuff.
I'm glad you're doing that, because that generally, I mean, that's a stepping stone to, to leadership in the city. So, there may be, yeah. You're just auditing.
You made me think, I don't know if you know this, but at one time, the city offered training in a civil corps that was intended to, and I went through it, but I forgot most of it. It was intended to assist the police when there were not enough police officers to go around, to do things like conduct traffic, that kind of a thing. Not anything that would put you in harm's way normally, unless you get run over by a car. But that was an interesting concept. That was some years ago, the efforts to try to somehow work with the community and help themselves.
Yeah.
We know the police are stretched out, beyond their capabilities.
Right. All right, chaps. Well, I really have to call it at this point. So,
Teresa,
thank you. Yes.
before we break, any of you that would like to, we don't have an HOA in Allen Hills and Cary Hills. And we have changed our meetings to a community meeting. Any one of you on here, or one or two of your board members, you're welcome to come see. We have the police officer every meeting, and you can get him or her to supply you with the same thing we get. What crime happened in your neighborhood? He will supply you with a printed thing. Then you can, look at what can we do to help for this. But we meet every other month at the little church up here on Allen Road South, and we last 1 hour. If we have a speaker, that speaker knows that we're going to do our business first, and what time is left, they get. But come 8 o'clock, I'm slamming the doors on them. So, but anyway, any one of you, please drop by.
So the next one will be in December, the first Tuesday.
The
And
first Tuesday in September.
Yeah, and then it's every other month, and it's at 7 p.m.
7 to 8.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to stay and talk like past that, that's fine. I'll stay with you as long as you want, but except to midnight. But the meeting is officially over at 8 o'clock.
Awesome. Thank you, Sylvia. Thanks for that reminder. And we'll put that, well, this will be in the recording too. And so hopefully we'll get a few more people on this later, and you'll suggest some ideas for topics, and we'll figure out if we want to do this every quarter, or maybe surveying on all those things would be the right thing to do, to the contacts that I have. All right, guys, thanks very much for coming out.
We appreciate you and putting this all together, and everybody learning something. We don't have an HOA, but I learned some things tonight I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it all applies really to all of us, as we try to find community where we live. I mean, there's always a desire for that with humans to find community where you live. And yeah, you got to work at it because our cars and our houses and our lifestyles don't always make it easy to find, to even know your neighbor. So it takes work, but thank you guys. And I will see you. The next Derita Matters will be on whenever it is in November, the first Thursday in November. And I will see you guys then.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.